Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, October 23rd, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is my turn to talk. Welcome, Bahram U. Welcome. You are number one today. And to anyone joining us over on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, thank you. Thank you. And I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. It is a beautiful day here in Southern California. Hey, Frankie, welcome. You're number two, and welcome, Shelby. You are number three. Welcome. There is music. Do you guys not hear music? You can't hear it. Really? Here, let me stop it. Do you hear me? You can hear me, but you can't hear the music. Okay. Not sure why. It's playing. Huh. Interesting. Well, I just stopped it. I'm sitting here just rocking. You guys hear that? You hear the music now. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. All I did was pause it and start it over. Okay. Well, at least you can hear me, so that's a good thing. Okay, and let me check a couple of things. I just want to make sure. I can always tell when Podbean is going to kick me off, so I want to make sure this is not one of those times. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so today, hey, Minnesota family, welcome, welcome. So today I want to talk about people born bad. Um, are people born bad? And why are some people mean and hateful at such a young age? And is it family upbringing or are they born with an evil heart? Now, I don't know. Hey, Minnesota. I hope all is going well there, and thank you again for joining. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Um, so, are people born bad? I don't know if you guys remember the movie. This came out in the 50s, black and white movie called The Bad Seed, and it's a movie that when it comes on, if I catch it, I've seen it many times. And basically, it's about this little girl who she was just evil. She was just downright evil. Her parents were fine, and I'm going to use that word fine. Um, nothing was wrong with them. But this little girl was just evil, and she was so evil to the point where she killed people. So, and the mother knew that there was something off about her, and she was, she didn't really want to admit it, but then she was like, yeah, my daughter is this evil little devil, whatever. But are people born bad? Do you have that bad seed? Is it in your DNA? And then I come back to um uh you know why is one member of the family, hello, Mr. B, why is one member of the family this angel and this other one is just evil? Why does one person turn out to be a serial killer and the other one doesn't? Why does one person, just grow up to be bad, or throughout their childhood, or this one child who just is just always doing bad things? And I'm not saying they're getting into trouble, like, okay, so they did this, uh, just the things that kids get into. But some kids are just bad, and I say bad, where they're evil. Me personally, I think that people are born bad. I do believe that there's that DNA gene that that may have skipped a couple of, may have shown up in 1512. It doesn't show up again until 18 something, then it shows up again in 19 whatever, and now here it is 2022 and it's showing up in your kid. I think that that's possible. Um, yes, Mr. B, all is well. Okay, and you say choices. Okay, all right, but but you don't think that some people just have it in their DNA? Welcome, shy lady. Let's see. Aren't religious people supposed to believe that we are born in the image of Christ and perfect? Yes, yes. But then again, Christ died for our sins because we are not perfect. We are not perfect people. We burn into sin, Mr. B says. That is why what my beliefs teach me. Okay, all right. So you guys think that it's just something that is learned as opposed to in our DNA? So and I question this. Why is it that when your child or someone else's child, whatever, um, when they are little, I'm talking toddlers. We're talking one and two. You know, um, they're just doing things that are off. They're the ones who are, they're doing things to the family dog, or they're purposely, just doing things. Are those choices, Mr. B, at the age of 2, 3? And I understand what you mean by choices, but is that learned behavior, or is that just something that they just do? Okay, so we are born into it. Okay, so when you say we are born into it, are you saying that it's in our genes, or you know, it's learned behavior from our family? Because again, I go back to, you do have some young children who do things that are just not nice. Shelby says, "What if they are born bad but turn good?" I think that's possible too. I do think that is possible. Boss says most of the extreme examples are learned behaviors, but I am open to genetic defects that the parents or outside factors have affected the sperm egg fetus to make them come out with a condition that lack morals. Okay, and B says if you don't believe in free will, then your opinions will vary. Well, I do believe in free will. I do believe that everyone has free will. Um, I mean, because to me, free will, uh, um, they are choices. But like Shelby says, what if they are born bad but turn good? I mean, I do believe that, of course things are learned behavior. I do believe that, we learn things. I mean, as humans, we learn things. As humans, we are not perfect. um you can learn good things, you can learn bad things, you can pick up good habits, you can pick up bad habits. Um, I believe that, you can be good and turn bad. I think that's possible. You hang out with the wrong people, you may turn bad. If you know, are exposed to certain things, you may turn bad. Hell, you get, exposed to some chemicals or something. You constantly go to work and you're inhaling some chemicals in the workplace. I do believe that that can mess with your brain, and that can lead to the way people behave. Shelby says, my daughter was one that was born evil but has turned good as she grew older. That's interesting, Shelby. Let's see. I wish I was bad, Mr. B says. Bob says, I'm not sure what these conditions are called, but maybe being on the autism spectrum or something can lead to violent behavior. I disagree with that because there are children who are on the spectrum who are sweet as pie, and there are some that aren't. Um, so I don't believe that just because you're on the spectrum, that you on the autism spectrum, that you would be violent. Um, Mr. B says some call it hard head. Uh, okay, and so some aren't. Okay, so Shelby, when you said your daughter was born evil, may I get a little personal and ask what she did, and how you knew that? And I'm going to use this term, and if I'm off, please tell me that I'm getting too personal or whatever. But when you say your daughter was born evil, did you know that she was evil and not just bad, or just getting into, you know, mischief? Welcome, Juju. And Mr. B agrees with me. Okay, let's see. And she would not mind, and she would be mischievous, but not minding and being mischievous is not evil. I mean, kids that are just evil. I mean, they do things that are just downright just mean, evil. Like you purposely hurt something or someone. You purposely hurt an animal. You go out of your way to really do something just mean. Okay, Shelby says to me it is. Okay. Evil is a huge difference, like killing. Yes, killing is evil. Okay, and Shelby says she would beat up her sister. Okay. Was it beat up like mean, I want to hurt you, or were they just two siblings that were just fighting, and it got physical, but it wasn't anything like mean? Okay, fist. Okay. All right. So I mean, can I ask how your other daughter was? How was your other daughter the opposite of the mischievous one? Mr. B says gloves on, and at this corner we have welcome, Brina. Huh, Brina, you're popping up with Juju's photo. That's weird. Podbean is off today. Podbean is off today. She was very nice, and heart in her sleeve. Okay, so she wore her heart in her sleeve. So again, I asked, why does one sibling turn out one way and another sibling turns out another? I mean, we all have personalities. We all, when you're born, everybody, you have your personality. Your brother, sister, they have theirs. We all are born with our own personalities and with our own, different traits. There's Brina showing up with like Brina. Okay, um, that was weird. So, and Mr. B says, yes, even twins are unique. I grew up next door to two twins, and to this day, They are the complete opposite. They are the complete opposite. So why is one child have a little bit more mischievousness in them, and the other one is like this? But I want to, just get down to being born bad. And you guys, if you haven't seen the movie The Bad Seed, I'm not talking about the remake. I'm talking about the original from the 50s. It's a good movie. Yeah. Every time I watch that movie, I this question pops in my mind: Are people born bad? So okay, and you say life events, but I'm not talking about life events. I'm not saying that something happened when you were 10 or when you were 5 and this affects you when you're 15. I'm talking about at birth. At birth are people born bad. Oh, hold on, Sean Lady. I miss you there. And welcome, Stinger. Welcome, Omar. Welcome, OJ. Welcome. It has been a minute. Welcome. Shy Lady, you have the mic.
Funny, laugh out loud, the bad seed.
You know
I,
what movie I'm talking about.
Hattie McCormick.
Yep.
It usually come on once or twice a year on TMC. So I usually catch her. Usually that's I don't know why, but I usually catch her. But it was one of the first movies as a child that I was really enthralled with because I watched it as a kid, and it always intrigued me that she was such an evil person. But I say all of that to say that I think that people are just like the Bible. I think people are born in sin. So therefore, they have a tendency to show their sinful side, their sinful nature, be that as a child or be that as an adult. It's still in there, and it comes out, and sometimes. But when you say inherently evil, um, I think there's some people evil by nature, but they all can be sinful. Everyone has a sinful side. They all can be sinful, but inherently mean. There are some people that are just downright mean. That is true. Meaner than others, or some people have a milder nature characteristic than others do. But I think that everyone is born in sin. That's just my opinion. But I do believe that there are people who have a meaner streak in them than others. Just like people are chemically imbalanced, and they might be bipolar. They may need to take meds to stay balanced. But I think that to answer your question, everyone has a sinful side. Some just have bigger capacities or bigger rooms of error than others.
Okay, Shy Lady. So let me ask this because Brina says some people are just hardwired like that, and Mr. B says the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. But I I guess what I'm asking is it possible that if some people are hardwired like that, that when you're 2, that a 2-year old will know, or you can know, or when they're 5, you'll know that this person just could be a Jeffrey Dahmer, or they could be, someone who killed people, killed 50 people over a 30-year span. That
You
they're
know
going to
that that
be a serial rapist. Do you know that when they're that young, that they're
I,
going to do this?
I'll say this. You may recall Paul in the Bible, who had killed tons of Christians, just went after them and killed them. But he became,
Saul.
one of the. I'm sorry,
Yeah, you talking about
Paul.
Paul? That
Paul.
the
Paul who wrote all most of the
the the
second
the
half
new the
the
New
second half of the
Testament.
Bible. Yes.
Okay.
So he killed so many Christians. This man was just evil back in the day, but he changed. He changed, and he became one of the nicest, valiant men ever. So he would have been considered evil if people knew him. Oh, he's Paul the killer. He would have been considered evil because of what he was doing. So I think that people can do things like that and change, but I think everyone has a sinful nature. I think they're just born with it.
But do you think, okay, so Shelby says I'm bipolar and I was not mean, but my sister was mean. And okay, Mr. B, I'm talking about from birth. So, but do you think that there are warning signs that this 5 year old or this 7 year old is somebody that literally you need to watch because this person may go off and kill somebody or seriously harm somebody, or they may be that person who they become an arsonist and they are setting fires? Do you think that there are warning signs when you're little that you're going to be this particular way?
I think there's warning signs. I know people who personally I know people who were mean as a kid, and they actually turned out and did commit a murder. But I think when they're young like that, people don't really take them seriously. You know, pushing it. I've heard that this person, you know, viciously pushed other kids down as a child, but people looked at it and just said, "Oh, he's just a mean kid." But who would have ever thought that one day he would actually commit murder and actually go to jail for it?
And see, that's another reason why you need to pay attention to bullies. And Brina says, I think there are signs kids show, like they're really cruel to animals, and I think that is something. I think that people who are really cruel to animals are going to be people who you need to look out for. I mean, I personally think, and I have seen it. I have seen people who I look at them, since some of y'all know that I am a total dog lover, that I'm like, if you're treating your pet like this, how are you treating people in your family? And sure enough, they're the ones going home cursing, screaming at their kids, their wife or their husband or whatever. It's like, if you treat an animal like this, how are you going to treat somebody else? But that's just me. um so Mr. B says, if a baby is laughing all the time when most babies would cry, something may be wrong. That is a possibility. And Brina says that would be creepy. um let's see, Mama says Loganism, when he was smaller we had to bury a fly. Okay, you're saying that he got upset because a fly died. Mama Bear, is that what you're saying? I'm assuming I'm assuming that is what you mean. Okay. All right. All right. So, I mean, and I you know, the whole "are you born bad?" I I do think that there's something to it. I do believe that it is in your DNA. Like Shiley says, we all have have that potential. But some people, they just take it a little bit further. Um, you know, the person who the kid who goes to school and shoots up a school, and kills, other students. Were there warning signs when this kid was 5? Or was it just the fact that he was considered an outcast and he was picked on? Should we pay attention to the should bullies pay attention to the people that they bully, because that bully may come back with a gun? Should we pay attention to the bully because the bully may go a little bit too far? And even in the workplace, there are bullies that are in the workplace where they like this when they were small. Welcome, Mr. A. So let's see. Let's see. Mama Bear says that he is the one who did it. He wanted to help it outside. Okay. DNA is strong. I had to share that, and Mama Bear, there are some kids who are just, like like Shelby said, her one daughter wears her heart on her sleeve. There are some people that are like that. We are all wired differently. Um, Shelby says mostly both, and they don't get looked at, or maybe it can be passed down like alcoholism. Okay, so he's just like his mama. Okay. So, all right. So, Mr. B, you bring up an interesting point. You said maybe it can be passed down like alcoholism. So, do you think being born bad is like alcoholism? Meaning, I guess I do believe that if you live in a household with a parent or parents or brother, sister who's constantly drinking, um, you may pick up that habit. I do believe that if you were uh, before you were born, and if your mom, did a lot of drugs or drank a lot, I do believe that can get into your system, and then that can also lead to you being the same way. But is alcoholism passed down the way evil is? And welcome, Mr. Ansa. Let's see. And Shelby says yes. Okay, so if you've never had a drink in your life, and let's say someone in your family drank, but they don't drink anymore, are you saying that again alcoholism? I just want to make sure that I'm getting this right. Can I guess I'll ask the question: can alcoholism be an inherited trait? So can it skip a generation? Like if your grandfather drank a lot, but your parents didn't, can you be like your grandfather and start drinking a lot? Is it something? Is that what we're talking about? We have so much unknown about what can truly be passed down. This is true. This is true. And Mr. B says yes. Okay. Yes, definitely. Brina says yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right. So then, if your grandfather was an evil serial killer, your parents weren't, and they were fine. Nothing happened with them. They had just a regular normal, childhood, adulthood, whatever. um you know Went to work, came home. Some may call it boring, some may not, whatever. um can you become a serial killer because your grandfather was, or your great great grandfather was? Stinger says, I believe serial killer is part of a possession. Let's see. Shelby says, if the child was close to the grandfather. Okay, when you say close to the grandfather, I mean, you're saying like if they hung out together, blah, blah, blah. Okay, OJ says most likely. Shelby says yes. Okay. But what if they weren't? So I mean, I'm asking, can if alcoholism can be an inherited trait, can becoming a serial killer be an inherited trait? Can smoking cigarettes, can that be an inherited trait? Mr. B says Native Americans, some of them can't drink because it affected their ancestors and it still affects them to this day. Are you saying psychologically it affects them so they don't drink, or you're saying that it still affects them because if they do drink, they will become alcoholics? And it's a shame how Native Americans were how they became alcoholics. That was just downright wrong. Okay, both. Okay, and not smoking cigarettes. OJ says. Okay, all right. So, what would you guys do if your child was evil? Not bad, not mischievous, but they're evil. What would you do? What would you do if you had other children who were in the household? What would you do? What would you do if your child was constantly the kid that always had to go to the principal's office because they were just doing something evil? And I'm not saying bad. They go to school, they're just doing something evil. Do you take your child out of school and put them in a special school? Do you homeschool them? I mean, what do you do? Try to get him help. Stinger says, whoop his ass. Okay. Pray and seek help. Take him for medical help. Um, Beat their ass, but get them help at the same time. Okay. And Mr. B says, I have worked with some truly evil children. Okay, so Mr. B, the children that you work with, that when you say were truly evil, um, are these kids evil because that's just them? That's their nature. I mean, that's who they are. That they're just evil. Because when you say you've worked with some truly evil people, there's a difference between, okay, I've worked with some really bad kids, but to say I've worked with some truly evil children, wow. One tried to kill his mom. Okay, all right, all right. And Shy Lady, since you're up on the panel, are you still here?
Hey, I'm
Okay.
still here. I'm still
Okay.
here.
So
I'm
have
just I'm
you?
just in the store. That's all.
Okay. So have you ever been around evil children? Like Mr. B says, I have worked with some truly evil children. Have you ever been around truly evil people or children, people, whatever?
Um, I have, like I said, I know someone who was a kid that did a very heinous act. Like I said, a murder. But at that time, I didn't know he was capable of that. So, I mean, you
Can
know,
I ask how old they were?
when he committed the act,
Mm-hmm.
17.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So is it something that could have, that when you think about it, you would say, yeah, when he was 10, he did this.
Uh, I wasn't around him a lot. He's actually a relative. I wasn't around him a lot. So I heard from other family members that he had done some mean things, but it wasn't until he actually committed murder then I was like, oh wow, okay, you know. So that, I mean, that's the only person that I personally knew that murdered someone. People I went to high school with. I heard, you know, rob someone, kill someone, but I was never friends with them or knew them on a personal level. Just went to school with them. That's all. But that was a person that I actually knew, as far as being in my family, um, that committed a murder at that
Okay.
age.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, I have another question for you, and I'm going to talk about sweetie pies for a moment. Mama Bear says, I say it could be something in their brain that makes them the way they are. And Mr. B says, one stabbed his mom in the neck by using his pencil. Wow. Uh, wow. Okay, so Shy Lady, you
Hmm.
are familiar, and I don't know if some of you other people in the chat are familiar with sweetie pies. Sweetie Pies is a chain of restaurants. They're in the St. Louis area, right, Shy Lady? Is
Yes.
that
Yep.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they Sweetie Pies was a reality show, and the son um, of the owner also used to be the one of the backup singers for Ike and Tina Turner, and her son was in prison, and he spent many years in prison for murder. Is that right, Shy Lady? The first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so he gets out of prison and he comes to work with his mother on Sweetie Pies, and they open up several more uh, locations. One was in California. I think two were in California. Uh, I think they had one in Texas. But anyway, on the road to doing all of this, the son, and on the show, you see the cousin. There was this cousin who the owner of Sweetie Pies. She was like his guardian, what have you. And he was 17 years old, went through this whole thing. He graduated from high school. Everybody was happy, blah, 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 blah. But he got murdered. And
It was a
on the
nephew.
show, he was
Nephew.
the nephew. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he was still
Yeah.
living with her, the nephew. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
so this kid gets murdered and is on the show, and you see the family grieving and what have you, and you see the owner's son grieving right along with him. Well, come to find out, a couple of years later, that the son had the nephew killed, which was his cousin, had him killed.
Go back. Go back. The nephew was her grandson. Remember, she had another son, an older son,
Oh,
named
right. That was
Tim.
okay. Right, right,
That was
right,
his child.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he had his nephew killed.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So either way, this son
Mm-hmm.
who had already spent time in prison for murder
No,
commits.
I don't. Did Tim actually murder someone before? Because I wasn't
Yes,
sure.
yes. That
Oh,
was when
okay.
he was. Yeah, that's when he was
Okay.
in prison for the first time.
Okay.
So but either way, it's like you then contract to have another member of your family killed. So my question, having said all this, and the owner, she is sticking by her son. The show went off the air, and what was interesting about it was before the show went off the air. You know how some of these reality shows, they do a reunion show and everything, and they're talking about Andre, who's the young man that was murdered. And the killer, Tim, is sitting there going, "Oh yeah." I mean, he's playing the whole bit, whatever. And you go back on, you just think of how disgusting it is.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, when Tim was younger, again, were those warning signs there? Were there warning signs? Then he gets out of prison and he comes back. Were there warning signs? Was something there saying that he was going to do it again? May not, you didn't know who he was going to do it to, but he was going to do it to someone else. Are there warning signs? When that kid was born, was he just born bad?
In his case, probably.
Okay, Juju said, yeah, yes, he did 10 years. Okay, and Mama Bear says, I don't mean it the way this comes out, but why didn't he do it himself if he did it before? It was a contract killing, and it was for the insurance, right, Shy Lady?
Yeah, I think he had a $500,000 policy on him.
Yeah, he took out this policy, and I think one reason why he didn't do it himself and he had someone else do it was because he was on the show. And if you see, and to this day, I don't think he's given a reason why, whatever. I do know that his trial is coming up. Um, but I think he did it, because he this may sound crazy, because he wanted to open up more locations, and he and his mom were always fighting about money. It was like, this is my money, this is my restaurant, whatever, you do what I say, and they were constantly arguing about money.
I agree with you. I think he did do it because he wanted to keep the business flowing. He wanted to expand. So I think I mean, obviously he did it for money, but I think that was one of the main reasons why he did. He wanted to keep that show on as well. So he didn't want to be involved. He didn't want any connection to it in case, it did get out that he was involved. He can kind of like protect himself.
But you know what though, when it happened and it's coming out that the police had always kind of looked at him sideways, when you pay someone to do something, and if it's shady and they get caught, the first person they gonna tell and they gonna turn in is the person that paid them. So he made a mistake there, probably by not doing it himself. But again, do you see, were there warning signs? Were there warning signs, that you have this one child that's going to turn out like this and not commit murder once, but commit it twice?
I'm sure for Miss Robbie, she had to have warning signs for you to commit an act prior. She had to have warning signs, and I think she was in denial probably in the previous time and all during his childhood. For one, I think there's a large gap between her older son and him, so I think she probably let a lot of things go. I think she spoiled him, and just like now, it appears to me, in my opinion, that she's still in denial. And
But she
she it
lost her first son to murder also, right?
right, but
And
mhm,
that has to be hard, to lose two children. One was murdered, the other one committed murder. But again,
and a grandson.
and a grandson, right? So
Hmm.
are there warning signs? Do when children are like this, again, when they're 3, are they killing animals? Are they sitting, are they collecting all these bugs in a jar, and then they let them out and then they start stabbing them? Is that kid that type of kid?
It goes back to the movie the Bad Seed. You remember there was a woman that lived in the building who knew that I think wasn't her character named Rachel. I think her name was Rachel.
Ramona.
Oh, was it Ramona? Let's start with an R or something.
Ramona.
Um, there was a character in the building. I don't remember what her name was, but she knew. She knew when the first murder happened that it was Ramona, the kid. She knew it. She saw the signs, but her parents ignored behavior. They ignored everything she did. She was always begging for things. And, oh, please let me have this, let me have that, and they could never say no to her. And when she wanted something, she killed that person. Whatever she wanted. Like I think the little boy who she um, pushed in the river or whatever,
Hmm.
and he drowned. She wanted that
Hmm.
medal.
Hmm.
It was always something that she
But
wanted.
what was funny was she wanted that medal so bad that that's what ended up getting her killed, because she went back to the lake to look for that medal.
And she got
Because
struck by
remember,
lightning.
when they found the little boy's body, the medal, because that's one of the things she says, well, where's the medal? And the medal
Hmm.
wasn't on him, and they said
Hmm.
it probably fell off, in the river. And she wanted that medal so much that she went back to the river to get that medal, and that's how
Hmm.
she ended up getting killed.
Hmm.
But I mean, and guys, I know it sounds far fetched, but I truly believe. And hold on, Gigi says 3 people pled guilty to their involvement in Andre Montgomery's murder for hire. Okay, thank you,
Everybody but
Gigi.
Tim.
Um, everybody but Tim. That's okay, because he is going down and he is not getting out of prison. So, um, But it may sound stupid, but and yes, it is a movie, but I do believe that you know things like that imitate real life. That you do have people who want something so bad that they'll kill for it. They want something so bad that they will hurt someone for it. And I'm not just talking about money, people who just want money. I'm saying, if you covet something, if you covet what someone else has and you want it so much, how far will you go? And are those the people who are born bad? But then again, like I said, you can be born the sweetest angel and turn out to be a monster. So is this DNA? Is it inherited traits? Is it bad luck? Is it the people we're hanging around? Is it your parents? Whatever. Because again, you can grow up in a family full of love and turn out to be one of the biggest monsters ever. You can also turn out, grow up in a family of chaos and dysfunction and grow up to be one of the nicest people ever. So I don't know. Anybody want to push back on that at all, or yes, no, no, yes? You think I'm wrong? You think I'm right? You think I'm half wrong? You think I'm crazy? You think So I don't know. Let's see. All right. So my last question of the day is: can someone who is okay? So D Max says you are right. So okay. So my last question of the day is: how much can you blame on parents? How much can you blame on mom? How much can you blame on dad? You hear the term in different situations. They did everything right. They did this. They did that. Whatever. But they still have this monster. And is it fair to blame the family? Is it fair to if your child does something wrong? Is it fair to blame the family?
I want to say this. I don't mean to interrupt. I say in some cases it is fair to blame the family, because if you are allowing certain behaviors and you're not correcting them, then it is your fault. It's your fault. If you are
Okay.
allowing certain behaviors to transpire between this child and you're not trying to correct it, and the correction could be help, therapy, it could be um, corporal discipline or whatever. But if you see it and you don't do anything about it, then it's your fault.
Okay.
If
So
you if you ignore it, it's your fault.
I'm gonna throw this into it. So again, your child grows up in your home, and everything's fine. They're going to school, coming home, and have a after school job or whatever, and everything is going the way just regular normal life. They move out. They go do whatever they're gonna do, and then all of a sudden, when they turn 25, 26, something happens, and all of a sudden, you hear these stories where yes, this person was murdered, this person was murdered. Oh my God, we got the serial killer, and it's your kid. Can you? Is it still your fault?
I still think part of the problem is the parent. If you I mean, you can't prevent people from doing certain things, and you can't, especially once they get of age, grown or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
if when they were in your house and they were a child, and you allow certain behaviors and you didn't correct it, then you're a part of the problem.
Okay, but what? Okay, but you okay, but you're saying if you allow certain behaviors, but what if you didn't? What if you did discipline your child? What if you like I said, you did everything right. You did everything that you as a parent, could do. And that's when I say, so is it the parents when the child gets older, or could it be outside forces? What if your kid starts hanging around with with this bad crowd, whatever?
Then you've done all you can.
So
You've
this
done
is
all that you
okay. So this is
can.
what I'm saying. So at what point is it not the family, but it's you? I mean, it's the person
Hmm.
who
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Well, like I said, when you become an adult, and you make choices, because once you become an adult, you are allowed to make choices that are going to affect you. When you are a child, most of the time you're not in control of the choices that you make, because number one, you probably aren't paying the bills, so you aren't really in charge of what's going to happen in your life while you living with your parents. But once you
Hmm.
become an adult, it's a different story,
And
you
that
know.
and
So
okay, and that's the point that I was making. DMAX says I've seen parents correct and do everything right, and the kid goes and starts doing whatever they want. So while that child is under your roof, even if they're living with you, at the age of 25, but when they're out on their own, when they decide to go out on their own, they're around just all kinds of different stuff. Hell, when your kid goes away to college, and they're living, away from you, you hope that they're doing everything and behaving the way that they should, but they don't. This thing happened again. Crucible just joined. Welcome, and he has and Petty Deb is showing up. So this is weird the way uh pod being is happening today. But but I'm saying that and I am going to throw this out here. When we criticize and we talk about other people, because I know I I criticize. I am not a perfect person, and I will admit it, and I will fess up to it. But when we criticize and we talk about how people, just look at your own house, because we all live in some type of glass house that we cannot throw uh, stones. So I just want to throw that out there. So, Shy Lady, just to wrap it up with you again, because I'm saying Shy Lady because she's the only one that's on the panel, unless somebody else wants to pop on. So, if you are a bank robber, serial killer, mass shooter, somebody who's going down the street and you just shooting people, whatever, you know, if you're in a gang, no matter what color that gang is, whatever, you're shooting and killing people, and you're doing it outside of your family's home, you are committing these crimes when you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever, because there are 80-year-old people who are killing people. Is it still your family's fault?
well, at a certain point in your life, your parents are no longer responsible for the choices that you make. As you get older, you should hopefully get some type of wisdom in your life. But once you get a certain age and your parents are no longer controlling your life, it's on you. Now maybe they were the start of allowing your ill behavior, but once you get out there on your own and you're no longer in their household and you're living in your own house and you're not making right choices, then it's on you. It's on you. Your parents are not
Okay.
responsible. Um, they may be partially to blame for how you turned out if they weren't disciplining you or getting you help when you needed it as a kid. But even, I mean, I know I've known some situations where people have been physically abused as children, um, beaten badly, but yet they still turn out to be decent people.
Mm-hmm.
So once you, like I said, once you get out of your parents' household, the choices are yours. You can either go good or you can go bad. But once they leave that house and they make those decisions, their parents are no longer responsible for them. But you have some parents that are very negligent, parents that don't, like I said, discipline their kids, and you wonder why they turn out the way they do. But there was that kid, the affluenza kid.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've heard that he was a very spoiled child. He did what he wanted. He talked to his parents any kind of way. They're responsible for his behavior. He took like 4 or 5 people's lives when he was driving
Well, his mother
recklessly.
also went with him when they when they went to Mexico, when they left, when she helped
Right.
him, whatever. So welcome, chill.
Enabling him.
Okay, so I am about to. I am. This show is going to be another short show today, but I do want to ask this. So we're talking about the family's fault, the family's fault, the family's fault. So when you get older and you get married, and you find out that your wife or your husband was killing people all these years, is it then your spouse's fault that they should also take some of the blame, that you should have seen this, you should have known that that your wife was out killing people, or your husband was out killing people? Is it then become your your spouse's fault? Shy lady.
I missed part of that. I'm sorry. My phone went out. What was that?
Does it become your spouse's fault if once you get older, because we keep saying it's the family, the mom, the dad, mother, father, whatever, but we've gone all over that, but now, since you are older and you're 40 years old and you've been on this killing spree for 10 years, and you've been married for 20, is it now your spouse's fault that your spouse should have known?
Well, your spouse is crazy if they're still with you.
But
They
okay, but
they
okay, but what if they don't know? So the same warning signs that you're saying that your parents or your family should have had, should your spouse also have had those same warning signs?
it depends, because I've seen these cold case shows where there was a murder. There was a was uh,
Okay, Shy Lady, you are breaking up.
sis. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Now I can't. Okay, Shelly, I'm not hearing you at all. So I'm going to go to Crucible. Then I'll come back to you. Welcome, Crucible.
Hello, everyone. I know you're trying to wrap this up. I will be brief. I thought the title of the show was very intriguing. I know you guys have moved on to some ancillary topics, but to answer that question very quickly, no, I don't believe people are born bad, because what you're essentially saying is somebody is bad at the point of conception. And I just don't think that's possible. But to your earlier, or to your later question that Shy Lady was talking about, we're living in a society, I think, where individuals are no longer held responsible, yet the collective is held responsible for contributing to the behavior that we seem in a hurry to exonerate the individual for. So the script has kind of flipped in my world. You have also the nature versus nurture environment. And I've known many families, not criminal families, but I've known many families where a couple of the kids have turned out fantastically. One or two of the others just never got it together. It might have not been a life of crime, but a life of fecklessness, not being successful, not bankruptcies, things where they could not be more opposite. So they had the same parents, they had the same environment. One or two of them grew up very, very well. and the others in the same environment with the same supervision and the same quote unquote wisdom turned out completely differently. So I think we've reached the point where we're too willing to absolve individuals for their behavior, that collectively we're all on the hook for it. It seems like it should be the opposite.
Okay. All right. Let me go through some of these. Let's see. Okay, Mama Bear had a phone call. Okay, no. DMAC would say some of those whippings was child abuse. Now, there are beatings, DMAC. I do believe there are beatings, and then there are spankings, and there is a difference. But okay, so guys, that's all I have for today. This conversation could go longer, but this is another show that I have to cut short. So I thank you all for coming. Crucible Shy Lady, thank you for popping up on the panel. Shy Lady, did you want to say something else?
Good show.
Shy Lady?
Good show.
Okay, did you want to add anything because you were cutting in and out? Did you want to
No,
add something?
the reason why I was cutting it out is because I was out and about, doing some errands, but then I got to my home and then my internet started acting up. But no,
Okay.
no, I had something, but it's just past now, so it doesn't
No, go ahead.
really
Say
matter.
it. Say it. We're still here, so go ahead and say it.
No, I was just going to say, when you had asked a question about are people's spouses responsible, and I just thought about one of these cold case shows I saw where there was a man who had committed a murder. He had raped and savagely beat this woman and killed her, and she was a friend she was the sister of one of his friends. And I think she had rejected him and he got angry. And he did this in anger when they were alone in the house. And the family, her family thought for years that he was responsible. But later on in life, he didn't commit any more murders. He actually had gotten married, had 4 or 5 kids. He was a deacon in the church. And his wife had no idea that he had done something like that. No one knew it. But it's just when you talk about evil, what's in people, it's people that were in his church that they interviewed that still don't believe he did it. But they had all of his DNA, which it happened like in the late 80s. They had all of his DNA connecting it to him. Everything.
So did he finally confess?
He never admitted that he did it. He would never admit it that he did it. I guess because it was like 30 years
Well, the
before.
reason why I'm asking is because you said that they were alone in the house and she rejected him. So how do they know that? How do they know?
Because he had made from what I remember from the show, he had made comments about her to other people in high school about how he liked her, and then he started talking negatively about her. And she was she was a home alone. I think she was supposed to go babysit someone, and someone told him that she was at the house. It might even been his friend's who was her brother, and he knew that she was alone at the house, and she opened up the door for him, not knowing that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But his DNA was there. Many many decades later, they kept that. Her clothing and the scene that happened in her bedroom. They kept a lot of that. The fibers from the comforter, and even his blood and his pubic hair and all that crap. They traced it to him, but he would never admit it. I guess his image from his church and his kids. I guess he never wanted that image tarnished, so he stuck to his lie that he didn't do it.
So I take it he's in prison.
Oh yeah, he's tried, convicted, and in prison for life.
Okay, so did they interview the wife?
No interviews from his wife, his kids, or anything. No, they
Okay,
refuse to believe it. They think that they pinned it on him.
but
That's what
but
people in his
again,
church think.
so this is why I say that I think it is possible to live with someone, excuse me, and not know that they've done this or that they are doing it. I mean, I think I think that that's possible, and yeah. So and as I said at the very beginning of the show, uh, I know that Crucible came in late. I said at the very beginning of the show, before when I first started the show, before anybody said any questions or anything, I do believe that people are born evil. I do believe that it is in your DNA. I think that there are some people who are just evil. They are just evil. They're just evil people. And I'm not talking about they're bad. They're mischievous. They get into a fight every now and then. You know, you push your sister, you hit your brother. I'm talking about people who are just downright evil. But that's what I think. So, all right. So on that note, Shy Lady, thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. Minnesota family, thank you for the gift, and everyone, thank you so much for liking the show. I will be here tomorrow, and again, I'm sorry this show is ending early, but I have to end early. But on that note, you guys enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world, and go where the wind takes you. Bye. Can you guys hear that music? Because I was having some issues with music when I first came on. You guys hear that? Yes. Okay. And Shelby, thank you for coming. OJ, thank you so much for popping in. Like I said, it has been a minute. Thank you. Welcome back. Bob Crucible, Petty Deb, DMAC, Grid, thank you. Minnesota family, Juju, Power Girl, Frankie, thank you all. Brina, thank you all. Mama Bear, Chill was here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sanctuary of the Divinity popped in for a little bit. DMAC, all of you. Thank you, thank you. Stinger was here, and it was weird the way, again, Podbean, other faces popping up. Mr. B was here. Angie was here. Thank you, thank you. Let's see. But I will be here tomorrow. And Petty Deb, my friend, thank you for popping in. And guys, I am in the process also of retooling my show. I'm going to have a couple of different things going on. So on that note, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.